Hey, what's going on, Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith, joined as always by Mr. Kyle West. What's up, dude?
Not always, because I took last week off, but I am here this week to talk Minnesota Vikings football.
I think I had fallen in that category too. I had a lot of stuff to catch up with and some plans last week, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, it happens, especially during the summertime. I know, like everyone else, that's when we all get busy doing all kinds of stuff. So just us two this week.
Yeah, that's all right. Adam and Dorian are tied up, but hopefully they'll be untied next week and somebody feeds them between now and then because that would get rough. But
lots of Taco Bell.
Oh, God. And Mountain Dew, we got to get them to sponsor us, man. I'm getting kind of sad. I might go to the International House of Burgers and get them to sponsor us next, you know?
I would like to order pancakes from them. That's about it. Nothing else.
All right, so we're going to talk about that right now. But this is episode number 306. That's crazy to think. This show is titled Minicamp Anawanna because who didn't like Salute Your Shorts back in the day? God, that was a great show. Staple of my youth.
I know. I've seen something on Facebook. It's been, like 25 years since that show came out?
Please don't remind me of that.
Yeah, right?
Man, that's a lot. I feel old. Yeah, let's talk about that. We're not even going to talk about football to start because, you know, when the Kyles run this Purple People podcast thing, it goes off the rails pretty fast. But
yeah.
The International House of Pancakes, otherwise known as IHOP, decided for some reason their marketing and their higher-ups thought it'd be a good idea to change their name now to the International House of Burgers. Yes, you did not hear that weird. I'm not making this up. This is a real thing. Wendy's, Whataburger, Burger King, I mean, Chili's, everybody has been trolling the ever-loving crap out of IHOB, which sounds stupid anyways, but I'm sure it's a thing to kind of revamp and get their name talking because any press is good press, even if it's kind of like, man, that was dumb. So I guess.
It was pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's a lot of higher ups to make, but maybe they'll turn the company around and it'll, you know, make it something better than it was. Who knows? But I love going there. It's great, especially if you've been drinking a little bit. Go. It's a good place. It's always open. But the International House of Burgers will start off this episode of the Purple People Podcast because why would you do that?
I don't know, man. It's funny. You know, on my other podcast that I do, like Shut Up, I Like This. You can check us out at facebook.com/Shut Up, I Like This. We recorded an episode 2 nights ago. Yeah, Monday night we recorded an episode, and immediately we got derailed and went off on some other subject. And so I think it's just like a thing that I do anytime you put me on a show. Like there is just never any kind of I don't stick to a script very well.
You're like the Stu Gatz of the show, and I love it because he just does whatever the hell he wants, and it's pretty funny. Yeah, it's my favorite. But that's what we do here. So we don't have adult supervision. The show goes anywhere it pleases. So I'll say that for now, just to cover our end. But we will talk about football, and we'll jump right into it. This is a great way to start off the show. NFL.com predicted Dalvin Cook to be the Vikings' 2018 MVP. I don't at all disagree with this. I think he was on track to be the Rookie of the Year last year. He was pretty incredible. He had some stiff competition with Deshaun Watson balling out for the limited time he did, but he went down with the same injury a little bit later. I expect tremendous things from Dalvin Cook. He's pretty great.
No doubt.
He was a great steal in the second round, and I'm just really pumped that we got a hold of him because with all the Adrian Peterson nonsense that we had to deal with, him coming to the team was a really good pickup, and we got a little taste last year. He's already been cleared to go through the motions at camp, so pretty excited about what he's going to bring to the table.
And I was thinking about how good of a value it was that Dalvin Cook, even in the limited role that we got to see him, looked really good just for the Vikings because it allowed us to not have to re-sign Jerick McKinnon. Now, I'm a big fan of Jet. I think he's going to do really good things for the 49ers, but we needed to go out and address that quarterback situation. And, you know, not having to sign McKinnon because we know that we've got Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook, you know, that allowed us to have a little bit extra cap space to go out there and to sign a Kirk Cousins to make that big splash signing. So I haven't heard a lot of people talk for Dalvin Cook yet, and I think that that's an important kind of underrated part of him being on this team.
Yeah, exactly. Not all of our money is going to be going to a running back like we've been so used to the last decade. So, and that's okay. You know, I'm not talking crap about AP. I'm over talking crap about him. You know, we all used to be fans, so I'll get over that. But, you know, it's great to have the focus on now we could pay a quarterback, like you said. He kind of set the trend for other quarterbacks to get paid. We don't have to worry about that position. But you're right. As far as needing validity, I love Jerick McKinnon. I think he's going to be awesome with a great football mind out in San Francisco with their head coach. Shanahan's a great coach. I think he's going to do great stuff. I'm glad he got paid too because you know, every player deserves to make their money. But in summarizing all that up, I'm really excited that we have Dalvin Cook, and I'm really pumped to see what he'll do for a full season because that's what I'm hoping for from him.
Yeah.
So going on the complete opposite kind of trend here. So we're talking about a brand new player to the Vikings, second-year player coming up at Dalvin Cook. Talking about a guy who's probably going to hang it up after this season. Brian Robinson is expected to retire after this season. We kind of talked about it not too long ago, but I kind of expected this too. Danielle Hunter's already surpassed him as far as starting role. So now he's going to be that positional third down guy maybe. Let him take more downs off or at least equal downs off rather than keeping him in there all the time. And it's not that I don't think he can still play. It's just that I think it's just time. You know, you kind of know when a player is ready to hand the reins off, and he's done that respectfully. I mean, he took a pay cut for us, like we talked about a couple episodes ago. So it's going to be sad to see him hanging up. He reminds me a lot of a little bit tamer version of Jared Allen, but he was always consistent and he was always there. And he's made a couple splash plays over the last couple of seasons, so he's still got it. I think he'll be great in that limited role where he can conserve his energy and come in when we need him to, because he's been known to disrupt quietly, but he can do it.
I've always been a big fan. We'll talk about this a little bit later on in the podcast, but Mike Zimmer is such a creative guy out there on the schemes that he runs. They have this weird sub-package where they move Brian Robinson on the inside, and they just let him like rush the passer from like an interior defensive lineman. And I think that that's really cool. And an interesting way to get him on the field and allow him to make an impact. Hell, I've seen him drop him back in coverage as well too, which is interesting. So I like that. I like the fact that you got a veteran who is embracing the fact that, hey, I'm at the end of my career. I'm not going to get the snaps that I used to, but I can contribute in other ways. And I love the fact that Mike Zimmer, as a head coach, has these creative packages to get talented players on the field, because of course I think B-Rob can make plays for this team in a limited role. I mean, of course he can do that, and he's a good locker room leader as well too.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm going to miss the most. You know, not like I'm on the team or anything. I'm not speaking in that term, but just seeing how he's just, you know, dedicated to the craft. I follow Case Keenum's like fan page on Facebook just because I love the guy and I thought he did really good things for us last year. And they had a bunch of Broncos players over the years that were like really good being mic'd up. You know, John Elway, Peyton Manning, Shannon Sharp, all those guys. And one of the things Shannon Sharp said is like, you know what, for the next 3 hours, nothing else in your life matters. And when I think of a player on the Vikings that would say something like that, it's Brian Robinson. Just everything that he's all about. And I like him on the side too, man. He's a country boy. He loves to fish. He's got his Reel 'Em In Foundation. He does stuff for Canine for Cops. If you guys can't see, I'm sporting a Desert Defender hoodie down here for my job. Yeah, he does a lot of cool stuff on the outside too. So sad to see him go, but I hope he goes out with a splash for him and Terrence Newman and pretty much the whole fan base since we came around. I hope we can win a championship and send those guys off in the sunset, because that would be incredible.
Yeah, I know there's been far too many Minnesota about Chris Carter and Chad Greenway and all those guys to name that have retired without having a ring. And time that, you know, some of our older players that are going to retire and get that ring before they leave Minnesota. I think that's really what I want to see happen.
Yep. You didn't even mention your favorite player, Randy Moss, man. Like, it's just
Randy Moss. Yeah.
So many people you think of that. Who's going to take it? But
how was Randy so unlucky to be on the New England Patriots and won a Super Bowl?
Not even that. Thinking about it, he went with that really talented San Francisco team too, with Kaepernick and everyone, and still didn't win. That's incredible to me.
Yeah, I know. Although I didn't think that the 49ers used Randy correctly when he was with them. They signed him as a decoy. I think he could have done a lot more than what he did. But that's here nor there on that subject.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking this up today because I listened to this. I want to throw two little nuggets in there for these quick hits. So we're talking about the season, and we already talked about the MVP, who NFL.com thinks the Vikings player would be. But I wanted to listen because I told you guys before, and if you've never heard before, I absorb sports in all facets, all hours of the day. I actually go to bed every night listening to Colin Cowherd, and then or Pro Football Talk, and I'll always listen to Dan Levitard every day. And if I'm driving around El Paso, I'll usually throw on a podcast because I love them. And they're talking about the Vikings and specifically Kirk Cousins in Super Bowl 53 betting odds and then Kirk Cousins 2018 MVP odds. So I'm going to get these out here. This is off of 27sports.com, and I'm really hoping this stuff doesn't play super duper loud. There we go. Vegas releases an MVP betting odds. Okay, that was last year. I'm sorry, that was rookie move of me. That's from last year. So that's from 5 days ago. But this one is awesome. This is Super Bowl 53. So this is the one coming up. The Vikings. You want to take a guess at what their odds are and where we rank among the other teams?
Oh, I'm pretty terrible with the whole Vegas odds things, but they got to be in the top upper percentage of it, I would guess.
So you have the New England Patriots at, let's see. Yeah, this is May 1st of 2018. This is only last month. So the odds right now, the New England Patriots are 5-1. The Eagles are 8-1. The Rams are 9-1. The Steelers are 10-1. And the Vikings and Packers are tied at 12-1 odds. So you have 4 other teams in front of the Vikings sharing the 5th spot with the Packers.
Interesting that they would choose Green Bay to tie us with.
It's the Aaron Rodgers Rampage Tour, and I don't even want to think about how he's going to come back and play with a chip on his shoulder. But it's pretty good. It's going to be pretty crazy to see because the NFC North is so crazy stacked. And actually, we were talking about that the other day. That was another thing on NFL.com. If you guys didn't see, they rank the divisions. They do this every year to kind of talk about stuff. The NFC North is the second hardest division in football right now, behind the NFC South, which I totally understand, being that the last two of the last 3 MVPs are from that division, and then you've had a different team every year win the division the last 3 years, and then they had 2 teams going in, one division winner, one wild card. So that makes a lot of sense. Just little tidbits I wanted to throw out there for these Super Bowl odds. I think they said Kirk Cousins odds this year, and Pro Football Talk is my reference today because I was listening to it driving around, was like 16-1. Tom Brady was first, Aaron Rodgers was second. In the list, and it doesn't go in that order, but it is that order. It doesn't go in those numbers like 2-1, 3-1. But Kirk Cousins was up there, man, because he came to the Vikings, his odds jumped up tremendously. So we'll see. I don't know where he's going to end up, but I love the love that the Vikings are getting, but not too much love, because we always get kind of skeptical when people are super high on us.
I can fly underneath the radar a little bit. I know that that's difficult to say when you have a season as good as what we did last year, and we make a big splash in free agency with Kirk Cousins. It's a little more difficult to fly underneath the radar. But I do think that, okay, go ahead and talk up Green Bay, talk up some of these other teams. That's okay. You can do that. You can kind of sleep a little bit. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, nobody's talking about Dalvin Cook coming back. Maybe a couple people mentioned it. I've always been high on the Sheldon Richardson signing, going there. But just thinking about, in terms of what we've done, it's pretty hard to bet against the Vikings based off of all the talent we have. And now that you have an upgraded quarterback, like I said, I love Case Keenum. I'm a big fan of him from earlier, but can't really talk too much down about Kirk Cousins because I think he's an obvious upgrade. But we'll see. We'll talk more about that. I don't want to spend too much time on all that to not hit up these pretty cool quick hits we got. The Hyundai NFL Youth Camp will feature Kyle Rudolph on June 23rd this month, 2018. The Hyundai NFL Youth Camp will be visiting Eagan, Minnesota to help teach kids fundamentals of football and encourage physical activities in boys and girls aged 7 to 13. I love this because it includes boys and girls and encourages physical activity. That's a huge, huge thing to kind of spread awareness around. But fundamentals of football, I wonder how much that's changed in the last 30 years compared to what it is now.
Oh, quite a bit, I would imagine. Like, heads up tackling and all that other stuff that they try to teach. I think it's really cool. I like the way that all the Vikings players, we say this every episode, I think, but, the Vikings players do a lot of good work within the community. I think that's important stuff, that they continue to do that. So if anyone out there has age-appropriate kids and you are near that area, you should get them signed up and have a chance to meet and get some work done, have some fun.
That'd be great too. If anybody listening, like we always encourage here on the show, if anyone listening here goes to anything like that, and you want to shoot us a message and show us that you were there, or just say, hey guys, listen to the show. You mentioned this. Well, I was actually there. Shoot us a personal message, and we'll definitely put you on the show and talk about it. All right, this next one is not one that I want to talk about, but we've got to because people talk and. Oh, damn it. I don't want to say this out loud because it's going to jinx us to 5-11. But Sports Illustrated projected the Vikings to go 13-3 this season. The Vikings are about as well built as any team in the league. Their top-ranked defense from a year ago got even better in the offseason with the addition of Sheldon Richardson and rookie corner Mike Hughes. Following a career year from Case Keenum, the offense got a quarterback who could get them over the hump. Minnesota returns running back Dalvin Cook from an early season ACL tear as he dazzled in his debut. The interior of the offensive line may be the only question in Minnesota, which is looking for its third NFC title in 4 years. That's a damn good thing to say out loud. That feels good.
Those are pretty high expectations for the Vikings coming into this season. But that's kind of the way we want it. Like, we've made our bread and butter for a long time of saying things like, man, if we win 7-8 games in this rebuilding season, we'll be doing pretty good. So I like the way that is behind us now. Like, we're not trying to win 7 games or 8 games. Like, it's not enough to win a division. We've got Super Bowl expectations in Minnesota. That is what Mike Zimmer is expecting from this team. And I know that every team has Super Bowl expectations, but it's more realistic for the Vikings than what it is for a lot of other teams in the NFL right now. Unlike you start throwing out the 13 wins, and I get terrified over that because that means, oh my God, what are we going to do to mess that up? And how are we only going to win 5 games? That's, like I said earlier, I'm okay with flying underneath the radar a little bit, but hey, it is possible to do really good this season.
Yeah, I was looking at the schedule, I think last night or earlier today, just because I'm weird like that. I wanted to see, the Patriots, Julian Edelman might get suspended, which is a total fiasco over there because that's one of the things I was listening to today, just random Patriots news. The stuff that Julian Edelman they got reported that he used PEDs. They just found an unknown substance in his urine. They don't even know if it enhances PEDs, but they're automatically reporting and saying it's performance enhancing, which is totally jacked up.
I don't like that. That's bullshit.
It is, because that's player confidentiality. That's kind of tarnishing his name when you don't know what it is there. That's kind of false reporting, but it's already been out there, for a while. But I was trying to see when we play the Patriots, Mark Ingram from the Saints has been tested positive for PEDs. He's going to be out for the first 4 games. But lucky for us, we get to play both of those teams, and those players will be there. So why not? It's going to be a rough 4 games to start out, man. I know we have the Eagles and the Rams on the road, like back-to-back in the first 4 games. But I think we also have the Niners and the Bills, which is, I guess – or I'm sorry, that's the first 5 games. So we have the Packers on the road. It's the Niners at home, the Packers on the road, the Bills at home, and then the Eagles and the Rams back-to-back on the road. That's a shitty first 5 games. I could easily see that going 2-3 if the favorite don't go our way, but hopefully not. I'm hoping we can sneak a win between the Rams, the Eagles, or the Packers. That would be great.
I know what you mean. It's like if the ball bounces the wrong way, or if we have bad luck, God forbid, I don't even want to say it out loud, but if we have bad luck with a kicker coming into this season, you're very right. These games are going to be close because I know we got an amazing defense, but Philly at home is unbelievably good.
Yep.
The Rams are like, salary cap is off on some of the moves that they've done. They're like an NBA super team out there right now. I have no idea, but they look like they're going to be really tough. It's a difficult schedule for the Vikings. I asked the chat here, how many games do you think we will win this season? We've got an 11+ tossed out there already, and I like that. I'd be okay with an 11+ win season.
Who is that, by the way? Who said 11+?
Let me pull it back up. I just minimized it down. That was Ying Yaj, who is almost always with us in the chat.
Thank you for the feedback, Ying. Thanks for joining us, man. I know it's kind of late.
We also didn't advertise this show, so
yeah, this comes handy dandy that when your little notification goes off, that's why Ying is getting a shout out right now, because
definitely
he subscribed. So thank you. So I'm looking at the schedule, right? Home for the Niners, at the Packers, home for the Bills, at the Rams, at the Eagles, Cardinals at home, at the Jets, Saints and Lions at home, then a bye week, a much needed one. At the Bears, Packers at home, at the Pats, at the Seahawks, Dolphins at home, at the Lions, and then the Bears at home. I'm thinking more like 11-5, but I mean, whatever. I think there's going to be.
I mean,
there's going to be 2 teams from our division going to the playoffs.
You can't even sleep on Detroit, excuse me, well, not Detroit either, but Chicago. You can't sleep on Chicago. We always have a difficult time playing Chicago at home. And then you look at some of the moves they've made, the development of their quarterback. They're going to be an improved, tough team as well. It's a hell of a division. It's a hell of a schedule. I really wish they could have given us Philadelphia at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would like to have seen the difference there between us and the Eagles, them coming into our environment. It's early on in the season. Not that it's any consolation because Nick Foles kind of kicked the living shit out of us, but I don't think Carson Wentz is going to be back just then. I mean, he got him to like 10 or 11 wins, and then he tore his ACL. He's aiming for the first week, but we'll see. I mean, they beat the shit out of us with Nick Foles. I don't even want to imagine what it's like with MVP caliber Carson Wentz. That's going to be a nightmare. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we've got a better quarterback, and I'm sure most of the Vikings players that are coming back, they're not going to be too happy about that Philly game. So,
and, you know, that Philly game was a weird anomaly, and I've even heard some of the players talk about it like months after the fact, where they said that they really did feel like they suffered a hangover from the ending of that Saints game with the Minneapolis Miracle, and just how the emotional high from that game was just so far off the charts. They crashed. And I mean, that's human nature, man. That happens. It'll be interesting to see, you know, more of an, I don't want to say even playing field, but in the middle of a season, what's going to happen when the two teams meet one another. I'll be that works out for the Vikings.
Yeah, God, it's crazy that we're going to talk about that game for a long, long time because it was so awesome, but the after effects were not so awesome.
No.
As much as we want to say, oh, it wasn't this, wasn't that, I think there was a little bit of a hangover because people were still asked about it in the middle of the week. I just think Philadelphia was just a better overall team. I think their D-line and O-line just owned that night completely and made Nick Foles' life super easy. And I think they were on a warpath. And they were counted out too. Don't discredit the Eagles. When Carson Wentz went down, I was the first one to say, well, the Eagles are out of it. And they turned around and won the fucking Super Bowl. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think they just outplayed and outcoached, man.
Yeah, last season was Philly's season. I mean, they're a shit fucking fan base, but you got to hand it to their team. They've got a hell of a team. And it was just their time last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do?
Can't take that away from them.
What do you do? What do you do, right?
Right. We're going to move right along because I don't want to talk about the Eagles anymore. The Vikings kicked off a mandatory 3-day minicamp Tuesday morning by practicing in helmets and shorts for approximately 2 hours at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Kyle Rudolph called a Hail Mary pass with Kirk Cousins. Vikings
these were some of the highlights I tossed in here.
Okay.
So these would have been these were like day one highlights that I found that I thought are super interesting because they're still, I don't know if they're in full pads yet or not. I think they still might be in shorts. But we're really close to getting like actual football news out of some of the highlights from day one.
Yeah, I love these, man. It's like, oh my God, they called a Hail Mary pass, in practice. And then I think of Allen Iverson's like, practice? We talking about practice? But
I mean, I'm excited though.
we got to fill up the off time with something, something's got to come from that. Kyle Rudolph caught a Hail Mary pass from Kirk Cousins, which is exciting. I want to see that. Vikings rookie defensive tackle Jalen Holmes is rehabbing a right hand injury that will sideline him through minicamp. He suffered earlier in OTAs. He expects to be ready for training camp. So that's good news. Terrence Newman worked out at safety. That's cool.
Ooh, that's an interesting tidbit.
And Anthony Barr briefly worked with the D-line group, working on rushing the quarterback, which he does so very well.
Mm-hmm. I said earlier at the podcast that I like the way Mike Zimmer has these creative sub-packages, and the way he uses Anthony Barr, he can move him around the field. I really like the idea of there just being an odd sub-package where you just move him in and he plays on the defensive line. Like, we talk about mismatches and just confusing a defense. Like, how do you game plan and prepare for that? Same with Terrence Newman, moving him to safety. I don't know how much legs there is to this, but, with having, we drafted Mike Hughes. If we can have Newman play in safety, he could be a ball hawk back there because he's so smart, and I could see him jumping routes left and right and just coming up with passes out there in the backfield.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing too, man, to think about. So this is kind of something sideways. So you're talking about, how Case Keenum did the job admirably, but we know we could upgrade there, right? Same kind of concept when it comes to D tackle. Like, we love Tom Johnson, but he signed elsewhere, right? He was great.
He's with Seattle.
We always said, hey, he could be a starter somewhere, and he ends up going to Seattle. We don't talk about this. We traded defensive tackles, and we got a better one. We got a Pro Bowler from Sheldon Richardson. And it's kind of the Kirk Cousins kind of deal for the defensive line now. I'm not saying he's better than Big Goon, but, he's a damn good player. I can't believe we got him. I'm really glad he came to us because he wanted to win, and he said this is a great chance to win. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to see what happens with him. But the genius that is Mike Zimmer can figure out all kinds of ways. Harrison Smith has a ton of sacks. He's a safety. Anthony Barr is a great, great pass rusher. I know a lot of you guys, and that's another thing I want to hit on too. For all these people, especially these idiots online, they're like, we don't need Anthony Barr. Get rid of him. You're a moron, because when he comes up with like 5 sacks this season, you're not going to be saying, oh, I'm glad he's not here. Like, I really wish he wasn't on the team. Like,
no shit.
That's pretty cool to hear him see that he's working with the D-line group. Pretty pumped about that.
I got a good question here in the chat. This came from Sergio, who asked if we are happy that we go to Green Bay early in the season and not in December. You know what? I kind of like playing Green Bay in December. I think that's just like a good football story of the Vikings and the Packers at Lambeau Field with snow and just terrible weather. And I don't know, man. I like that. That's what I like about football. I love those kind of games. And that is an opportunity to see who's got the better players, who can overcome the odds. I don't know. I like games like that. Of course, I always like playing the Packers. It's an entertaining, it's a fun rivalry to have. I'll take the December games, man. I'll take it.
I'm not for or against it either way, because they have this crazy good guy named Aaron Rodgers that plays for him. So anytime he's playing, I always dread going into Green Bay. My thought process is this. I'm tired of playing Chicago at home every year at the very last game of the season. I want the NFL to change that. I don't want the schedule to be predictable. I know that's a little super minute thing for a fan to be complaining and bitching about, but we've been playing them every year for the last game of the year at home since Matt Castle was our quarterback. That's how far back I can remember. So I'm kind of over that. I don't want to see that happen. They're either the last game or the next to last game. I'm pretty over that happening. So I would like to see that change around. I like going to Green Bay early because, like you said, the cold weather sucks. I would like to have the Packers at home as our last game of the year, because I think the season would be on the line, most of the line for that, unless we just swept everybody else and we've already won the NFC North. I really like that year when Blair Walsh, before he turned into the person we hate to say out loud, when he won us a game on a field goal his rookie year, when AP rushed for 2,000 yards. We played them to win, to get in the playoffs. That was fun. That makes for an exciting Week 17, and that's what I want. But I'm just being picky at this point, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you mentioned Matt Castle. I'm curious if this happens to any other Vikings fans. Are you guys ever just like, I don't know, like laying in bed or just like whatever, trying to go to sleep for the night, and like random pieces of Vikings trivia just like pop into your mind? Like I was trying to go to sleep the other night, and I'm thinking, remember that time that Matt Castle was the Vikings quarterback, and the Vikings didn't sell his jersey, and they were really open about how like, don't buy a Matt Castle jersey because he's not going to be here for long. Like that was just so. That you remember that, right?
Yeah, same kind of deal too. Where the other day I was looking online at one of those rip-off jersey sites or whatever, and they were selling old Viking stuff. Like Donovan McNabb was the number 5 they were selling. So there's that.
Yeah, they're not going to steal your credit card information or anything.
Yeah, not at all, right?
No, nope. It's totally legit.
Yeah, I was trying to find a Kirk Cousins one or maybe an Adam Thielen one to buy, and I had to look for it and type the name in itself. And, these are cheap $20 jerseys, but they're replicas or whatever. But I was like, those are the ones you featured? Like Chris Cluey's still one of the first ones you have up there? All right, man. You guys are definitely off-branded.
Most of my jerseys, unfortunately, are players that are no longer with the team.
That's always been my biggest thing. If you have to, I want to pick a quarterback because they're the most relatable, and those are usually my favorite players. However, the Vikings have had such shitty luck with quarterbacks. It's like, well, I can't really pick a quarterback because he's not going to be on the team next year. The last person's jersey that I have is on the New York Jets now. So, I mean,
I almost agree with Adam. I think your best bet is to just buy Hall of Fame players.
Correct.
Like I got my Fran Tarkenton jersey. I got my Randy Moss jersey. Those will never go out of style. Not that there's anything wrong with wearing a jersey from, a player who's no longer with the team. Like I got Jerick McKinnon and, other good. Like I've got like a couple Cordero Patterson pieces. Cordero's not with us anymore. That just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I did that too. I made a custom purple hoodie when I was deployed 2 years ago for Fran Tarkenton. I did the name and the number, which is nice. But I have to get a John Randall one made at some point because that's my dude. So I think I'll just go with that because it sucks because you want to pick an all-star who plays for you now. Like I wanted to get a Dalvin Cook one, and then I get super stitches. I'm like, well, what if he tears his knee in half like Teddy Bridgewater did the year after I had a jersey, or like Sam Bradford? I wanted to get one of those, and that didn't work out. But I digress. We're going off the rails as we always do here. Kyle West is going to be super pumped to talk about this. This is the main topic. Let's talk about Randy Moss this week.
Yeah, that's why I made it the main topic.
Yeah, we got to slide that in there because Adam and Dorian didn't get to join us, so this is great. We get to talk about Randy Moss some more. I'm looking at it now. I'll plug Adam since we just mentioned him here. If you go to the Viking Age, Adam Carlson is a writer for there, and I'm pretty sure he just shared a picture the other day of their Hall of Fame for that year because he's been doing lots of work for them. So congrats to Adam. I just saw that the other day.
How many articles did he tell us he's wrote for the Viking Age?
Oh, God, I don't have it off the top of my head, and I'm going to butcher it if I try.
It was like 3,000, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm sure it is because he's been doing it for years and years and years, and he's been doing it pretty consistently because that's his source of income. So
yeah, that's a lot of friggin' written articles about the Vikings and I think Walking Dead as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to our sort of leader here at this podcast, Adam Carlson, out there writing a ton of articles and finally getting recognized for his hard work over there. Congrats, buddy. Really pumped for you to get that. If you go to his site, another Adam that's on their website, shout out to Adam Patrick. He does a lot of, I don't say controversial. He thinks outside the box. There's a lot of times initially where I really didn't care for his articles, but then I realized that he was making me think. Kind of the same thing I thought about Dan Levitard. Didn't really like him at first, and I'm a pretty big fan of Adam Patrick's as well, so this is cool. But there's a Randy Moss article, and you guys can find out this main topic we're talking about right now. It was posted a day ago from Adam Patrick. Former Minnesota Vikings All-Pro wide receiver recently shared a photo of his locker display at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Ohio. And there's a Vikings helmet. There's a Vikings jersey. And Randy Moss on Instagram says, if you're a real fan, please comment on our locker in the Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
He's got a ton of fans out there. This is pretty sweet, though.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a Pats jersey. I'm seeing a Vikings jersey. I'm seeing a helmet, gloves. There's some cleats, too. Let's actually go to Instagram and look at this thing. Let's see.
There's actually the draft card that the Minnesota Vikings handed in the '98 NFL draft.
I see that.
Randy Moss's name wrote on. Yeah, so that's really cool. There's some other stuff up top that I can't quite make out. Like there's a football.
Another pair of gloves, a football. Looks like a coin of some sort.
Yeah, the football must be some game football. Maybe like, I don't know, some significant touchdown or career milestone or something for him. Really cool stuff, man. Really, really freaking cool. Randy's my favorite Viking of all time. I'm so excited for him to go into the Hall of Fame. And I just love the fact that, like, his locker with, you know, his Vikings gear is going to be there, you know, forever, so long as there's a Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, Randy Moss is going to be in it. That season, that '98 season was just such a special time for Vikings fans. And, you know, Randy was a big part of that. It's just really cool to see him be honored. And it's really cool to see him, for as much as people wanted, you know, to shit all over Moss and call him a locker room cancer. Look at what Terrell Owens is doing and acting like a baby. And look at how Moss is handling this. And I think you can see the difference in the two players.
Yeah, Randy's also got a job working with the NFL. Terrell Owens is trying his best not to be anywhere near there, which is kind of funny to me. Whatever. I mean, you can do what you want. Yeah, but Randy was a transcendent player. This is pretty cool. You know, sorry to you guys that wanted like some new football news. That's not going to happen because there's not much going on besides minicamp. OTAs will be here very shortly. But shout out to Randy Moss, man. I love he's grown into the player that he has, and now that he's going to be, or now that he is an analyst or whatever, it's really cool because he shows a lot of class, which is something that a lot of people had in question back in the day, because he was, you know, kind of flying off the edge, doing things at will. But now he's kind of toned it up. He's kind of trimmed it up per se. He's a very classy dude. He gives shout outs to the fans, and you know, he's very, very grateful that he's in there now. So I'm happy for him. And that would be one of my major stops. I'm going to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame eventually. My goal is to take my son and see a Vikings game at every stadium throughout his life. You know, it's a thing for me.
Can I come with? That sounds like fun.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Trying to do the cool thing as a dad, trying to take him everywhere. But, you know, it would be kind of cool to see every Viking, every stadium, you know, and we'll feature the Vikings there, home or away. But definitely when they play the Browns at some point, that'll be the first centerpiece to stop. There's all kinds of legendary Vikings in there. Cordero Patterson's got a record in there. AP's got his own shrine in there for the 2,000-yard season. Randy Moss, as we're talking about now, just it's really cool, man. Go see some Viking legends that played for the Vikings for a while and see their head statues in there too. Who knows? There might be some people that go in there later too. Maybe by the time I take my son around, Adrian Peterson's head will be up on the wall and talk about that. I mean, man, I watched this guy, you know, when I was a little bit younger. He was pretty sweet. It's pretty awesome.
There'll be we're talking about other Vikings, you know, Hall of Fame lockers. And Ying Yaj brought up, well, a couple people have been talking about Brett Favre in the chat, and that it's really cool, and it's got to be irritating to Packers fans that in Brett Favre's Hall of Fame locker, there's like a Vikings jersey.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be super frustrating for them. And what I say to that is I don't care, because he had statistically his best year ever with us. So suck it. I mean, whatever, man.
Yeah, because, like, you know, like Randy's locker has the Patriots stuff in it, but like, well, I forget what season that was, 2007 maybe, where he caught like an insane amount of touchdown passes. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I think it was like an NFL record or something crazy like that. Like, remember, guys, he was crazy good when he was with New England too. Like, I know he had like an off season there when he was with the Raiders, but he really brought his career back with the Patriots.
Hold on, I got it right here. Let's. I'm looking at here.
Okay.
Play gave Brady 50 touchdown passes. This is December 29, 2007 on NFL.com. Breaking Peyton Manning's record in 04-49, which Peyton Manning would go on to break again, which is crazy. I'm looking insane. At where in the hell? All right, here we go. I got his NFL.com stats here. So touchdown, 23 touchdowns. Holy fuck, man. I'm sorry for the language, guys. 1493 yards. Yeah, so put this in perspective just for you guys. This is a receiver who this is a receiver that caught 23 touchdowns. All right. Teddy Bridgewater's never thrown 23 touchdowns in his career. Sam Bradford with us in his 8-8 season with us threw 20 touchdowns and 5 picks. Case Keenum only threw 22 last year.
Yeah, and Randy Moss caught, what do you say, 23?
23 in 2007.
23. So. That is insanity. That is how good Randy Moss is.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
That's pretty insane.
That's think about that. It's insane, dude.
Yeah, Randy Moss is a freak of nature. I'm glad that we got to feature him somehow again to round out this show.
Oh, like Eric brought this up in the chat. That was the season that Randy Moss absolutely burned Darrelle Revis.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I remember being in a Patriots uniform, but I didn't remember which one it was because he was there from 07, 08, 09. So,
yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he absolutely torched Darrelle Revis in the end zone. I mean, and that was when Darrelle Revis was like in his prime. That was like the prime of Revis Island.
That's such a good play. I still like the Thanksgiving game. That'll always be the best memory.
I always say that, and Deion Sanders is one of my favorite non-Minnesota Vikings of all time, but he ducked the games that he would have had to cover Randy Moss. Like when Randy came into the league, Deion did not play against Randy Moss. I think that Moss would have burned Deion Sanders.
Yeah,
he'd have torched him, and that's a hell of a bold statement because Deion is a hell of a fucking corner.
I think he's the best in the game to play that position. That's a tough one to say, but I'm not going to disagree with you because I think it's pretty substantial, especially at the times in their career where they would have been. I think he absolutely would have owned him.
That's right. Eric brought up that Randy Moss caught Brett Favre's 500th touchdown pass.
Yeah, that was my favorite Randy Moss moment. It was a short-lived another stint with the Vikings, but I mean,
that was Brad Childress's fault. That had nothing to do with Randy Moss. That was Randy came in and was like, "This guy's a fucking idiot," and then he was the first.
Well, yeah, because Brett Favre had been saying that for over a season and a half already. So he's like, "Well, I can't get rid of Favre, but I can definitely get rid of you. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of you for saying that."
And then it was shortly afterward that like every Vikings fan got on board with being like, "Yeah, fire Brad Childress. This guy's an idiot." So Randy just said what we all were thinking. Like, I don't know why anyone would hold that against him.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, man, I got nothing else for tonight, man.
No bold statements?
No, not yet. I'm going to wait till we get into
it's too early for bold statements yet.
Yeah, it's too far along for there to be nothing, to me just be pulling shit out of the air just to try to make a bold statement. So that's coming though. Shout out to anybody else in the chat too.
Oh, we got Yin Yaj, Eric Grindal is with us. We've had a couple other people. I haven't been chatting too much. It's difficult, and it's just the two of us for me to try to pull the chat up.
That's okay. Thanks for everybody that joined us. Shout out to my friend Samantha. She tuned in, even though she's a damn Dirty Packers fan.
Is that Bubble Girls 129?
I have no idea.
Maybe because she was the one talking about Brett Favre.
Uh-oh. I'll have to ask because that's super funny.
We also had a Yo Mama who said that him or her, "I cannot wait till football this season. I live in LA and I'm going to the Rams/Vikings games." That matchup, you picked a good one to go to.
Hey, Yo Mama, you should definitely take pictures of that game and send it to us. We'll talk about it. Throw it in a recap. If you give us permission, we'll use it as like a cover or something for the podcast that week. I went to the Vikings and Panthers game 2 years ago when we got Bradford and watched them absolutely destroy Cam Newton. And I put it all over the page. So if you'll do that for us, we'll definitely put your name out there and give you credit, talk about it. So yeah, keep us updated. But
yeah,
that's all I got. For me, if you are a Metallica fan, as we wrap the show up, go check out my band's Facebook page. We are called Disposable Inc., a mixture of Disposable Heroes and Damage Incorporated, Metallica tribute band in El Paso, Texas. If you're friends with me or you want to look into my music personally, I did one of my favorite songs ever that I can't stop listening to for the last 2 weeks. It's John Mayer. It's a good blues song. Really digging the guitar and the setting that I put on my amp here to play it. But I did a cover of a John Mayer song last week if you want to give that some love. Adam Carlson's not here, but we shouted him out earlier. We'll give him love again because we'll see him soon. The Viking Age, he does a lot of work there. So if you want your Vikings football news for any and everything, go there. You'll find lots of articles to read. Click on his stuff, go down the bottom, and when you interact and actually talk and comment on those things, it actually boosts his ratings, so you should definitely do that for him. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, he has a site that he writes for as well for The Walking Dead called Undead Walking. Same kind of deal. Go in, give him some love, comment on his stuff, tell him what you like, what you don't like, just interact. And I love asking you this because that podcast is the best name I've ever heard in my life. Kyle West is on another podcast, and he does some other stuff. Tell everybody about it.
I do a movie podcast with my friend Jeff. It is called Shut Up, I Like This. You can find us all over the place, but an easy way to direct yourself there is just facebook.com// Shut Up, I Like This. We talk about all of the films that we like, and we avoid all of the, all of the hate that everyone does all out there. We just want to talk about movies because we're movie fans. What did we just record? We just did the movie John Carter. I don't know if you guys have seen that one or not. That one was 2012. Good film. I liked it. That's why we talked about it. We got a lot of interesting stuff coming up as well, too. Jeff and I are planning forward. We're going to be doing Warcraft. Big stuff coming up in October as well, too. We have a whole theme month planned for that one. So check it out if you like movies, you want to hear a couple people chat about some film. That's where you can do it.
That's a pretty dope show title. It's still my favorite. Mm-hmm. Shut Up, I Like This. Hell yeah. Well,
otherwise, really quick, I wanted to plug my photography website, which I have down below on my little username handle thing right here. It is phantasmdigital.com. You can actually see one of my prints hanging up behind me. It's that lovely sunset piece I got on canvas back there. I hang my own artwork up. Why would I buy shit from Walmart when I got my own stuff that I can put up? So go ahead and check it out. Go ahead and check it out. I got all kinds of good stuff. At least I think it's good. You might think it's terrible, and that's okay. But hey, it's artwork. There's some Vikings prints up there as well too. Some stuff I've taken at training camp and whatnot. Some pieces of the Metrodome. I got some of US Bank Stadium that are really pretty cool. So check it out. You may see something you like.
Buy Kyle West stuff. Pay $1 million for it. So he'll give me
poor.
So he'll give me like 10 grand because I'm a friend. That's what my ploy is. Cool. Well, thank you everybody that joined. We have to do the cheap plugs at the end because we have to get you guys to tell a friend. So my encouragement for everyone that's listening in the chat that's still with us, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/purplepeoplepodcast, twitter.com/purplepeoplepod. Follow us everywhere. If you're on YouTube listening to us right now, hit the subscribe button and it'll let you know in an email and it'll go off every time we go live so you can interact more. If you've done all that already, tell your friends about us on your social media pages so we can get at least one person. If you can get one person, another person getting one person, we can snowball this and we can make this even bigger than what it is because we used to do this on Skype audio 3 or 4 years ago. And now we're doing it live.
And it got boring as shit.
Yeah, now we're doing it live on YouTube and we're doing it kind of sort of semi 1% professional and it's pretty dope and it's all because of you guys. So share our stuff, like our stuff, tell your friends about it and we'll include you and we'll shout you out. And we do giveaways and stuff during football season, so it'll be worth your while, I promise.
Yeah, the return of the fantasy stuff will be fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more when football season gets closer, but we're all about the listeners here, so just thank you for that to everyone. And if we've got nothing else, appreciate you joining. Like I said, give our stuff a like, subscribe, whatever, share it with all your friends. And remember to stay classy, Minnesota.